an investor is able to offer a lot more, provided you're open about it. So I wish the startups here the very best. Okay, I think great ideas, great traction, great energy, great place for you to incorporate your company and have ideas. So you find the fact that J. Garu has been able to bring this entire ecosystem together is a great tribute. Leverage that opportunity. And I wish the ISF continued success, both domestically and globally. Thank you for your time and a patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request Tarun Singhal, please come on to dais for handing over memento.
Tarun Gulati.
Thank you, Tarun. And thank you, VLK, for giving us your precious advice. Our next keynote speaker is a serial entrepreneur, investor, and a business executive. He is the founder and CEO of Zolon Tech Inc., managing partner of Zolon Ventures, and a venture partner at Powerhouse Ventures. Has 20 years of experience in delivering technology solutions in cloud, mobile, and cyber for USA federal government in national security, defense, and intelligence agencies. Recipient of the prestigious Fed 100 award, he is deeply passionate about wealth creation and growing enterprises through a thoughtful implementation of innovative ideas. An active investor in cryptos and blockchain technologies. I'm sure all of you must be interested to know more about it. He holds an MS and BS in engineering and an MBA from the Duke University. Please put your hands together to invite Mr. Ram Mattapalli, CEO Zolon Tech Inc. and managing partner Zolon Ventures. Please put your hands together. Thank you. Ram, would you like to use the podium or a handheld mic?
No need podium. Sorry? No, I'll use the podium.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Bangalore. I am Ram Mattapalli, founder and CEO of Zolon Tech. I am very honored to be here at this great India Startup Festival and privileged to speak in front of you. So Zolon Tech is a Washington, D.C. based technology services firm. We primarily work with the U.S. federal government, from the departments like defense to all the way to health and human services, labor, education, stuff like that. In the commercial, we do work with the financials and healthcare companies. As an entrepreneur myself, I have a good journey, just like anyone else. A lot of difficulties, challenges, and with I guess some good luck and hard work and patience and persistence, we are in a decent size. So as an entrepreneur journey, I always want to kind of give back to my fellow entrepreneurs, just give some of experience I learned over the period of my building my business, and also, of course, providing the capital. So today I want to talk to you about my journey as this, helping fellow entrepreneurs as an active investor, right? As a startup, investing in startups, early stage companies. So I want to talk to you about one company which has a great experience for me and also very fulfilling in a way, multiple ways. So I'll explain that with you. So this company name is called Vital AI, VYTAL.AI, Vital AI. So Vital AI is started by two persons based in Washington, D.C. Their name is Sai and Rohan. So let me tell you one thing about Sai and Rohan. They are both in high school. They just finished their 11th grade. So both are in 17 years old. So before I go a little deep into Vital.ai, what they do, let me start with a very good and a positive note about the company. I'm very pleased to say that just not too long ago, a few weeks back, Vital raised $1.1 million at the valuation of $12.5 million. And did I tell you, these both founders are just in high school, 17 years old, not even graduate from high school yet. They have one more year to go. So let me talk a little bit about Vital.ai. So please bear with me. This is a little bit of medical jargon here. So Vital.ai is a SaaS-MD. It's a new platform we call software as a medical device. We all know about SaaS. A lot of them are aware of SaaS, PaaS, CaaS, things are there. The new term is SaaS-MD, software as a medical device. So at Vital, Sai, Rohan and their team are building an application called NeuroOS. NeuroOS is a mobile web application that walks users through 30 seconds of gaze tracking tests. Then a deep learning algorithm they have built analyzes the user's eye movement and is able to draw diagnostics for neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So you may be wondering, right, how exactly this app doing a 30-second gaze tracking test can lead to diagnosis this kind of very important diseases, right? Especially given with the current technology, it takes thousands of dollars, numbers of hours to procure similar diagnosis. So basically, what this NeuroOS does is, based on this gaze tracking test, actual biomarkers are extracted based on the delay in the eye's movement. And based on this metrics, NeuroOS application is able to draw a link between the eye movement and the brain health. So basically using your eyes as a window into your mind. So that's what Vital AI does. So to talk a little bit about the company, right? Again, building this new platform, SaaS-MD, software as a medical device, is extremely, incredibly challenging for anyone, and especially someone that's just 17-year-olds. So when Sai and Rohan came to see me a year ago, basically they're at the time 16 years old, I was very enthusiastic about their idea. Obviously, that looks like a pretty serious thought. First question is that, can you really execute it? Can you really build it? They showed me their idea, their team, that they can build it. I definitely blown away. But then I said, you guys seems like pretty smart guys, even though your age is pretty young. I said that I will definitely advise you, help you the way I can. But I clearly want them, right? Especially this medical device spaces, or especially healthcare spaces, filled with so many technologies, apps that are brim with challenge every turn. And especially I told them, these doctors, right, the medical doctors, are very skeptics when it comes to technology, and they're very unwilling to assume that this a smartphone or a laptop can do this amazing diagnosis work and pretty much do their job. It's very, very difficult to overcome with their challenges, kind of work with them. And I also told them, you guys in great technology, you're bringing it up, but also selling it to other investors is a pretty difficult, daunting task. I want them, nobody takes you seriously just given your age. Everybody says that they want to help and support young people, but in the end, they look for experience, education, all of that. It's a very tough task to sell. But I give them a path, what to do, where to go after. First and foremost, I told them to be focused on the one path, because when you're building this app, you can do so many things, right? With this algorithm you're building, eye movement, eye gaze. But I told them earlier and focus on one thing. One is just a couple of things, maybe some diseases like big ones, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, which are very serious diseases, especially in Western countries. I told them focus on that. Second thing I was to focus on, don't worry about building an app, putting an app store, assuming that consumers download, pay $10, $20 a month. That is very difficult task to do that, achieving the size and scale. I change the direction, go towards more of a B2B market, right? B2B here. Idea is that you build this great neuro OS, but you sell or offer through the neurologist, the neurologist offices. That's where this degenerative diseases patients go there. So ask them to work through that direction. So they're able to build this technology, convince some doctors. It's a very ardent, difficult task. I don't want to go too details. But at the same time, back to the ventures investors, right? It was very difficult them to convince them to do this. A lot of investors, first thing they say, hey, you're just 17-year-old guys. In 1 year, you're going to finish your college, mostly end up going to Stanford or something like top schools. Then what happened to the company? Would you willing to work, give up your college dreams? That kind of questions come back. There's somebody say, you're too young, we don't want you to work, we'll bring some seasoned executives to run the business. No, those kind of bottlenecks, roadblocks they put on their place. But I convince them, keep on doing your things. It's not an easy task. Eventually works out, because SciMD is a new platform. There are not many companies out there. And what you are doing is a pretty remarkable things. And it's basically a very unique thing. Nobody is really doing that, this neuro OS, where they can do 30-second gauged eye movement test, can produce a diagnostic results, which it takes really thousands of dollars, number of hours. So they are in a pretty good shape. So I encourage them to continue to do that path. Clearly, eventually the results shown, as I told you in the beginning of my speech, they raised $1.5 million. They did some tremendous valuation, $12.5 million. They're in the right path, going right directions. They got a relationship with these big hospitals in the US, like a Mayo Clinic and all of that. I'm very thrilled to be part of their journey and support them. So that being said, here a lot of entrepreneurs. I hear so many stories. I'm very amazing to hear their stories, the ideas they have. But I would implore this fellow entrepreneurs here, focus on this new thing, SciMD, software as a medical device. We all know healthcare is a big field. It's growing tremendously, especially the field of medicine. If you're getting into this MD style, software as a medical device, and build some platform or build something on this kind of a platform and devices, it could be tremendously beneficial, not only you as a personally, dramatically, but also helping the fellow humankind, right? Imagine, we all know during pandemic what happens, what is telemedicine was helpful for us. Now we realize that to do any diagnosis, you don't have to go to see a doctor in person. You can do everything remotely using some pretty built-in these new technologies which can definitely help you to diagnose and things like that. So with that, all I want to put this thought in front of you, again, give my experience, some journey I had as a helping fellow entrepreneurs. I want to share my experience with you, and also I want to thank you very much for giving this opportunity, especially Jaya Garu, my dear friend and dear mentor, helping me to come here and ask me to be here, and also great to see so many fellow CXOs and other investors. Thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to meeting more like-minded individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you. That was very informational. And this is one company that's grown from startup to small, medium to a large business in the DC area of United States of America. All right, thank you so much. I would now request Tarun Gulati to please come up on the stage and give a small token of gratitude from ISF 2023 to Ram Mattapalli.
Thank you.
As always.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ram. international trade and investment lawyer in Washington, D.C., an investment banker, chairman to Give a Life Foundation, nominated for Nobel 2019 and 2020 for establishment of bone marrow transplant registries. Name it the field, he has contributions in every field. Being a law practitioner, he has contributions in education field, government service, healthcare, investment banking, and many more to go. So without taking any much more time of all of yours, let me introduce Mr. Bart Fisher on stage with a round of applause, who is going to talk to you and educate us on building bridges between India and the United States of America. Bart, would you like to use the podium or you want a handheld mic?
Is this working? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm here to talk about a different kind of startup. We're a startup, and India is very late to this party, this startup. So I'm here. I came a long way from Washington, D.C. to talk to you all about this startup. And the other subject I want to talk to you about is building bridges between the United States and India. And in my opinion, healthcare is one of the best areas where we can build bridges in our mutual self-interest, the win-win propositions. And the healthcare security issue right now is very important, because we realize in the United States, just like you do in India, that we cannot rely on China for our medical healthcare solutions. We have to have our own solutions. We can't be dependent on foreigners. We have to have our own local solutions. And the particular mission I'm on here has to do with what we call the bone marrow transplant registry. For example, most people know that you can transplant solid organs like heart, lung, liver, kidney, pancreas. We all understand that. But most people really don't understand that the marrow is a fluid organ, and it can be transplanted also. And the occasion on which you would do that is if you have a cancer. They're called blood cancers, like leukemia, Hodgkin's, lymphoma, and other kind of blood cancers. But in order to be able to make the marrow work again, to make red cells, white cells, platelets, you have to have a new marrow, and you have to have a match. So our program in America is called Be the Match. You'll see it advertised everywhere on subways, and people are signing up for it in America. But it hardly exists in India. India has 4 small private registries, and in the United States we have over 30 million HLA marrow-type donors, voluntary donors, in the registry, 30 million more overseas, so a total of 60 million voluntary donors. India has less than 2 million. And for a population of its size, to find a match, you need 80 million. It's a massive undertaking, but it can be done. And what the Give Life Foundation is proposing to do, and will do, in fact, is launch a campaign called Swab for Life. With one swab, you're in the registry. We can get the DNA, the information we need to be able to do a bone marrow transplant, which is pretty amazing. And it's a information technology. Obviously, India is very good on software programming, information technology, et cetera, but in this area, India is way behind. And one reason is India has bigger problems than just blood cancers. I mean, it's rural health care in general, which is the subject this morning. But what we're doing is we have to keep the focus on a solution that can work. And it's beautiful because if you get a match, say for some little girl in Los Angeles that has leukemia and needs a match, an Indian girl, she can get the match from India, and vice versa. So we can have marrows, and half our business in America on the bone marrow transplants is international. So we have marrows going all over the world in little brown patches with couriers carrying them when we find the match. So far, we have made over 100,000 matches off the registry. These are people who would otherwise not be with us. We've just begun. We need to have a much larger registry. You're like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's very hard to find. You need a lot of numbers. It's a huge numbers game. For India to play in this game, it needs 80 million HLA marrow type donors. This is a big task, but we can do it. And we can do it with public and private support. One of our partners is here, Sadhguru, and we're going to work with him in India to get voluntary donors to sign up. We're also working with the Grace Cancer Foundation, which is based in Hyderabad, and they will be our second local partner. We have spoken actually 3 years ago with Indian National Railways, and they volunteered to have their railway stations be places where you could have the swabbing stations at the railway stations. When you start thinking about it, you just have to find places where people can sign up. We would like to talk with Apollo hospitals, for example, where they have pharmacies, and like in US, CVS, Walgreens, the pharmacies are places where you sign up for the registry. So we want to make the registry ubiquitous, global, around the world. I've been all over the world to set up these registries, places the US doesn't have good relations with even, like Cuba. We did the first medical agreement with Cuba to set up the bone marrow transplant registry because Hispanics are not very good about signing up for the registry. So we had to go to Cuba for our base. And we had marrows going back and forth from the US and Cuba. Most people don't know that, but that's a big deal politically. And we can literally become blood brothers and sisters when we do the registry. That's what we want. And it's a tool. It's a tool to improve relations between countries. Most people don't think about, in the area of international relations, how do you build bridges? Well, healthcare is a wonderful bridge. It's also very important. In the U.S., healthcare is 20% of the U.S. gross domestic product. Just think about it, it's a big number. And so it's a big part of the economy. And we know in the area of oncology is very important. Treating cancers is very important. And the news that I have to announce this morning is that we are also on the U.S. side being supported by the Clinton Global Initiative. This is President Clinton and Hillary. They want to do the registry here, too. So they're on the team to do the registry. We're going to have very strong support on the U.S. politically to make this one of the big bridges we're going to build to India. Obviously, there's other bridges that are very important. Trade, investment, defense. You can look at them, but none of them more practical for your daily life than healthcare. And India needs to dramatically improve the healthcare. The rural healthcare needs, there's a big gap between urban healthcare and rural healthcare in India. We have to address that. So this is part of the solution, is information technology. And I'm convinced that if we combine blockchain, artificial intelligence, and all the information from the bone marrow transplant registry, we'll have a powerful tool for medicine in general. We'll have information. And so the festival here is a wonderful opportunity to meet all these startups. But as I said, we're a different kind of startup. In India, we're a startup, but we're not a startup around the world. India is way behind. India has to catch up. I'm here to help you catch up. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and God bless you all and this great institution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bart. Bart, I have one question for you. Bart, I have one question for you. Bart, I have one question for you. You are a person whose introduction can be given for 2 minutes, 2 hours, and 2 days. So what motivates you to do what you do?
So my story is very interesting. She asked for the motivation. The motivation is that in 40 years ago, in 1983, My son, Ivan, had aplastic anemia, which is when the bone marrow stops making cells of all types, red cells, white cells, platelets. And it's a medical emergency, obviously. You've got to have blood cells to live. And there was no registry in America at the time. So I went to Congress, and I got a bill passed called the National Organ Transplant Act, which set up the registry. But it's a great story, and it's the legacy of my son, Ivan, who died, because there was no match in America for his type of marrow. It's very interesting from a scientific standpoint. It's 1 out of 4 that a sibling will be a perfect match. These are brother or sister. It's an argument for large families, actually. But if you don't have a sibling match, you're literally dead unless you have a match, what we call an unrelated marrow match from outside the family. Okay, so that's what the registry is. It's for unrelated marrow donors, and it's voluntary. No one's making you do this, but it may be the one chance in your life you have to save a life. You think about it. And we have a rule of anonymity, which is for 1 year afterwards, you're not allowed to know how the outcome was, what the person you gave the stem cells to lived or didn't live. But because psychologically, that's a big burden. You know, their life literally depends on whether the marrow match took. So we now have the point where, so if after 1 year though, you can find out. And so that's very satisfying psychologically to know that you saved a life. You're literally a blood brother or blood sister with somebody, and those bonds go on for life. So that's what I want to set up internationally. You know, you helping someone in India, someone in the U.S. finds the match here and vice versa. That's a tremendous way to improve the relationship because we become blood brothers and blood sisters. Before going to law school, actually, I took a PhD in international relations. I never dreamed I'd use this aspect of medical as part of improving relations between countries, bilateral relations, international relations. We set the registry up in China, Cuba, places where the U.S. isn't necessarily all that friendly, but if you're a parent and your kid has leukemia, you want to find a match. Believe me, you're motivated. So we went to the parents and we set up a lobbying effort in Washington. I'm also a lobbyist. It's not a dirty word. It's not a dirty word because we're information providers to Congress, and we go to the Hill and we explain these things. And so that's the system in the U.S. And I lobbied to get the bill passed. That's really how it started 40 years ago. It's a wonderful legacy to my son's memory. Thank you. That's the motivation. Yeah, it's a good story.
Thank you so much, Barb. Could I request Mr. Bipin Pandiala to please come up on stage and give a small memento to Bart Fisher.
Let me take this honor to call one of our women leader, Radha Panikalapati. Radha is Vice President, Cruise Customer Success, on a mission to make transportation safer, cleaner, and more accessible to all. With 20 plus years scaling global operations across customer success, trust, and safety in high growth companies. She is a former leader in YouTube, Google, Salesforce, Ring Central. She is also advisory board member at First Source. She is very passionate about education, empowering women in tech, and executive sponsor of Empowering Women of Cruise. Thank you, Radha ma'am. I request AV team to please display the presentation for Radha.
Thank you for that kind introduction. Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be here. This is my first time attending the India Startup Festival, and I'm grateful to Jaya Garu for the opportunity. As I was getting ready to come here, I was reflecting on my career in tech and my experience working with a lot of non-profits in India, and thinking, what is it that I can share with this audience that's going to lend a new perspective and hopefully inspire you in some small way. Today, I'm going to talk about tapping into the abundance.
Technology is accelerating at such a rapid pace, especially AI, artificial intelligence, is exploding. It's become a general purpose utility like electricity, and it's ushering in the next industrial revolution. The timing is right for India to tap into this potential and change its trajectory. I work for a startup. It's a self-driving car company that's based in San Francisco, California. I know it's hard to fathom a self-driving car being in India and navigating Indian traffic. You all must be thinking that's some kind of a science project. It doesn't really work. It's actually a legitimate product, and I had an amazing video to show you all, but we could figure out self-driving car, but we could not figure out how to make the AV work here. So unfortunately, I won't be able to play the video. I spent the last 1 hour trying to figure that out, but that didn't happen. So we just have to make do with the slides. I just want to take you under the hood and kind of show you how the product actually works. There are about 40 sensors that are on this AV. These are camera, radar, and LiDAR, and they're constantly scanning the environment around them. And they actually provide these inputs, looking for the pedestrians, looking at 360 degrees and a couple hundred feet away. So definitely it has more visibility than what a human eye has. And it sends all these sensory inputs to the AV. This is nothing but perception AI. With the inputs that the AV is receiving, when I say AV, I'm talking about autonomous vehicle. With the inputs that the AV is receiving, it's charting a path. I don't know if you're able to see it in this video, but it's basically trying to determine, based on the destination, what is the optimal path. And the environment around is highly unstructured and dynamic. The pedestrians are moving around, other cars are moving around, so it has to adjust its path multiple times in a second. This is nothing but prediction AI. Now that it has figured out what the path is and how to navigate, the autonomous vehicle is actually going to send signals to the different controls of the car, be it the steering wheel or the wheels, the throttle or the brake, to tell it whether to accelerate or to stop or just continue along the trajectory.